But now again, back to the idea of verification. Look at if we click the design assist form, up comes a form. Click refresh and click live. Now this is that antenna with all these parameters in play, and it shows you an azimuth cut of the antenna patterns, or we could look at an elevation cut or a diagonal cut, positive or negative diagonal. And what do we see? We see a sum pattern in red, a difference pattern. We can choose which ones of these you want to see. Like, let's not look at the elevation difference pattern, it's cluttery. So here is the azimuth cut of the sum pattern, difference pattern, and the discriminator characteristic. It tells you all the things that you'd have to go and calculate on your own. Who wants to do that? Half power beam width of this antenna pattern, 6.5 degrees, sum pattern peak gain, azimuth peak gain, sum and the difference in the sum and azimuth difference peak gain, which is affected by the feed squint, which is one of the parameters we have on the config form, and the side lobe levels and where the side lobes are. It also shows you where the discriminator stable track points are, so you don't have to go and calculate them. What if we look at the elevation plane? Well, that's not very. Look at the discriminator curve. That's totally wrong because we're looking at an elevation cut of the azimuth discriminator. But if you choose the elevation discriminator, it makes a lot more sense. Now, I don't think the pattern is very beautiful, but it's an az-only tracker. So we go back to the azimuth difference pattern, azimuth cut of the antenna pattern, and we go to however wide you want to look. But this is the pattern that you have from the model that you have over here. And if you change something on this form, it is instantly reflected on this form. So if we change, for example, the focal length, I want to see both of these things. Watch this, and the antenna pattern when I change the focal length. See the focus getting smaller, and the pattern changes. So I mean, there's this really important connection between showing information and showing it quickly. As an analyst, I need to see things quickly. I don't want to have to go to MATLAB or some other application and draw a graph. Like, make a configuration here, click the save button, go with some other thing 5 minutes later and draw a graph. I want to see it instantly so we can learn what the properties of our own model are. Another thing I think is important and interesting, side view of the antenna. Now we can use this control to scan the antenna. And when we do, we get a better sort of 3D picture of the antenna. See these little mauve dots, these magenta dots? Those are where the integration patches are when we're doing the analysis of the electromagnetic analysis of the antenna. And that is one of the design parameters, like, where is it? Right here, integration patch separation. You can read about it in the book. But watch what happens if we change the integration patch separation. 1.1 centimeters, 1, 0.9. Look at them all, more and more and more. Till we get, like, quite dense. Till we get to a limit. Is that it? Yeah. It says, that's too much. Okay, so we just back off one. If I click, it'll go up, but it'll still give me the message again. By changing the, it's kind of geeky, but by changing the integration patch separation, this strongly drives the execution time. But, so what should this be set at? We can look at the antenna pattern changing as you change the separation of these integration patches. You can see what makes a difference and what doesn't, is the idea behind it. So anyway, that's enough of that. So if we just click, there's a whole rabbit hole to go down, which we're not going to do, like multiple parts of this thing. But we're not, there's no need for us to go down there. We're just losing time on other things. Is that enough? Yeah. Well, let me just click reload here. Reload. There we go. So we're back to where we started. Look, what does the radome do? Radome off, radome on, radome off, radome on. Let's get rid of the azimuth difference pattern. Let's get rid of the elevation difference pattern. Let's get rid of the thing. Let's just look at the sum pattern. Radome on, radome off, on, off, on, off. What does it do to the half power beam width? Half power beam width, 6.5 degrees with the radome off. With it on, well, still 6.5 degrees. But you can see what's happening. If you change the radome thickness, other things. You can look at the cross-polar pattern. What's the cross-polar pattern look like that? Wow, it's low. Its gain is minus 22.8 dBi. And copole is plus 23.8. So the difference between those two is the cross-pole isolation. Why is it so low? Reason? Because you're looking at the Crondon lobes sit on a diagonal. So you have to look at the diagonal cut. Ah, there they are. There are the condon lobes. So anyway, I hope you convince you that there's enough features there that you could really go exploring and have a chance of understanding what's physically happening when you actually jam a missile. So let's close that. And the model has, autopilot, elevation is enabled or disabled. You can look in the book if you want to see how. Oh, by the way, see this compare button? That's an important feature. Another thing, if you look at if you load a file, is this the default file? How the hell would you know? There's 285 parameters. You'd have to compare them all. We need a better way. So there's a compare form that shows you anything that's different from the default will appear yellow and red. So there's the scenario looks like this. Oh, look at there's a whole bunch of things that have changed. So it draws your eye to the things that have changed. How about the antenna? Well, it shows the antenna type. Nope, that's a default antenna. If we start changing things, see up here, save model and reload to compare config form. So if you change something over here, you're going to have to click the save button, and then when you click refresh, you'll see the yellow things come up. It doesn't work on the VCL components. It works on the config file you actually have loaded. Okay, so we got that said. Close and hold. Close, no save.